Well, here's a bit of a turn-up for the books. Karl Pilkington on the line.
Right.
Yeah, where you been?
I'm off ill, aren't I?
Right. Okay, what's the matter with you?
Just, a bit bunged up and that, and got the shakes, got that sort of, that shaky thing to get.
Yeah, that's because you didn't eat last time when Suzanne was at work.
Yeah, well, I think that's what brought it on, plus she was away in the week and I put some wet jeans on. And I think that's what's caused the problem.
When did you put them, on your head?
No, they were just on the Maiden and the legs felt dry, but they
Just on the what? On the what? Have you got the Maiden? What was she doing there? What do you mean?
On the Maiden that you put clothes on.
What? Your clothes horse.
Maiden.
Your clothes horse.
Well, yeah.
Right, okay, so you put wet jeans on, yeah?
So that's why I'm ill and that. I'm not having a good time. I've been watching the football.
So you're just sitting at home watching telly where you could have been sitting here?
Well, I would have been better off there because I've got a chair there. I've got no chair at home at the moment because I sold it last week.
Why did you sell a chair?
What, you only had one chair?
What?
Look, can't we just, I just was calling up to let you know I was alright and that.
We're not interested in that, we want to know about the chair.
I sold it. I had a little two-seater and I sold it because I'm getting a new one, but I've got to wait another month.
So you've got to sit on the floor for a month?
So you sold a chair before you had another one?
Well, she might not have wanted to buy it in a month or something. So I got rid of it whilst I could. She was alright, buddy. We'll talk about that next week.
Oh, you're going to be in next week?
I look forward to that then. That's a dynamite piece of radio to tune in for. The day Karl sold a chair.
Brilliant.
Alright. So you alright then? It's going alright?
But why did you take this long to call? We asked you to call since the very beginning. We've been phoning you. Why is your phone switched off?
I heard the beginning. I heard the beginning of the show. I thought, yeah, it's going alright. They're there and stuff. Turned it off.
You turned it off?
No, I put a tape in though, because even though I'm ill, I'm still showing an interest in it.
Well, you're not, if you're watching football and shaking.
Yeah, well, I'll listen back to it later, so I hope you haven't been dissing me.
No.
Right?
Definitely not.
Don't listen back to it, it's not worth it, but we haven't been dissing you, no.
And I've just been watching, a bit of football, right?
Did you watch the Monkey programme last night? You told us to watch the Monkey programme, we all stayed and watched the Monkey programme.
Alright, wasn't it?
It was rubbish, wasn't it? Obviously not half chimp, half human.
Well, I mean, they missed out a lot of the interesting bits.
They didn't have any interesting bits. Those are bits that you made up to make it more interesting.
The bits that I told you about 3 months ago before they decided to make the programme.
Yeah.
What were the bits that you came up with?
Well, they missed out the bits about, you know, the zookeeper.
Right, there wasn't a zookeeper, yeah, go on.
Well, there was, but they left that bit out.
Well, okay, fine. And they left out the bit where it ran for mayor in 1975.
In terms of those that did research, they actually went and filmed it, you read it on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chances are you're the one with the facts wrong.
Yeah, I think they also left out the bit when it jumped over 3 double-decker buses on a motorbike.
On Evel Knievel's motorbike.
Yeah. So, I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. Not only do you not bother turning up, but you turn off the radio and start watching football.
Yeah, I turned it off, but I've recorded it. I'll listen back later and sort of...
Well, what good is that?
Sort of, I like to keep, you know, keep it in shape and that. I'll have a word next week.
Alright. If you receive any phone calls from people you don't know, we don't know anything about that. Instantly, we don't know why that is happening. That is just going to be a weird, spooky thing, so...
And don't bother telling the story about Men in Black 2 either, because I don't think people will be interested.
Actually, on the subject of Men in Black 2...
What?
Have you seen that, Steve?
No, I haven't, Karl. Tell me about it.
You should see it.
Go on. Why?
Because there's this thing in it.
Go on. What, a stupid, bald Mancunian tosser?
No, weirder than that.
There isn't anything weirder than that.
Big eyes, it was gangly.
Keep talking.
And, you've got to see it, because you wouldn't believe how the likeness and that. You've got to get the film out tonight.
Right.
It's not as weird, it had a normal voice, right?
He's done yet, he's not even here!
I'll tell you what, mate, it ain't worth coming in next week.
Oh, stay on the line, Karl. Play a record player. Kings of Leon, Molly's Chambers. What do you think of that, Karl?
Alright.
There's a surprise.
Another
insightful remark.
Steve is not a fan now. Not only does he know you've been slagging him off behind his back.
No, I wasn't slagging Steve. If you get it out on the DVD tonight, you'll know I'm not slagging you off. It could be your brother.
I love the fact that it makes it worse, but you're gonna go, oh, he wasn't slugging me off. It does look like me. I do think I'm an alien. I love the fact that you hope Steve will go, he's got a point. It's a spitting image. Yeah.
I am, seriously, Carl, I'm really angry. I'm so angry with you at the moment.
You haven't seen it yet?
No, I know, because I know what it's gonna be, and I'm just,
Why?
I'm fuming. I'll tell you why I'm angry, because he doesn't do it in jest.
No, but what do you think it's gonna look like? What do you think this thing's gonna look like?
Gonna look ludicrous. It's not gonna look anything like me, but he's gonna, like, pretend it does. Go on, what? Go on.
No, it does look like you.
Yeah, of course it does. And you look like the, Human Z.
Well,
I mean, to be honest, you did a bit, Carl. You walk like him, you're bold like him, you got a sort of gormless face like him. Any more?
I don't smoke. That does. I'm not arguing with you. I'm not well on that.
Oh, you're not well.
What exactly is wrong with you? You whinger.
Well, it's just, do you know, like I always tell you about the restless leg syndrome I've got. It's like that, but all over.
So you're just shaking around the house?
I'm just, yeah.
What do you look like, Elvis? What are you doing? You're shaking around the house.
I'll tell you, with your bald head, you probably look like an enormous vibrator.
Oh, God.
That's what you probably look like if you strip naked.
Oh, you'll have the Scottish widow coming round. Oh, dear.
That's, what's her name, by the way? I heard you talking about that. That's,
Amanda Lamb.
Amanda Lamb, who's in the Place in the Sun programme.
Is she actually a widow? Is she a Scottish widow?
Hoots, man, my husband's dead. Do you want any money and a bit of my clam?
Brilliant.
Alright?
That's the sort of, quality you've missed out on today. Well, anyway, you're gonna be back next week. We need you back next week.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, how do you know? Also, how did you know you were going to be ill today? Because you phoned and arranged this yesterday.
Convenient.
And I spoke to you yesterday and you didn't sound very ill.
I felt ropey yesterday.
You've got a bit of a bunged up nose.
Even though
I have a bit of a bunged up
even though I was ill,
nose.
I still sorted it out. Yeah?
I'm a little bit sweaty.
Even though I was
Carl,
ill,
sorting it
I
out does
sorted
not
it
mean
out.
you phone up Sturgis and send her down.
That's not sorting it out, that's making things worse. Have you learnt nothing?
Thanks, Claire.
If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the
All right,
problem.
mate.
Yeah. My leg's a little bit achy.
Oh, wearing wet jeans.
Oh, I put wet jeans on again. My lasagna wasn't, it was frozen.
Can you hear the venom and hatred in our voices today? We genuinely are upset and angry with you.
Yeah. Can't believe it. I cannot believe that I mean, oh.
Right, well, the thing is, we'll be back to normal next week, right? We've got Billy Elliot doing the film next week.
Right.
Any prizes?
Got some good stuff.
Have you got any films with Burt Reynolds in to give away on VHS?
And I'll see you then.
Great, we're looking forward to it already.
I'll see you later.
See you later. Feeder. Come back around on XFM 104.9. I'm Ricky Gervais. But who are you?
Oh, thanks for asking, Rick. Steve Merchant.
With us, Karl Pilkington. Well, Karl, now I know I shouldn't, but I met Karl in the week again.
I told you shouldn't do
I
this.
know,
You know, you should
but
wait
then
till
when
the
he starts saying things like, "Oh, is this loud with the people?" I go, "No, save it," and we just sit there. and I'm scared to talk in case he comes up. But you did tell me a couple of little things, didn't you? True stories that that I mean, I enjoyed. Could you tell Stephen about the doctor?
Right.
Oh, God. What, is this something that happened to a friend of yours, or is this,
No, I read about it.
You read about it? Okay.
There's this little lad, right?
Okay.
First of all, it's years ago, right? When
Right,
they didn't have decent doctors in, like, every town and that.
Yeah.
And, this little kid is dead ill, right?
Yeah.
And the local doctor...
Well, there's a phone call involved, so I don't
Yeah,
really
well,
get
let
the
me get
impression
to it.
that it's like medieval
times.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't say that, I just said it's years ago.
Go on
So
then.
this kid's ill, right?
Yeah.
And he's lying in the bed, and, he's all going funny colour and that.
Yeah.
And his mum says, "I'm going to get the local doctor round." The local doctor comes round, and says, "Oh," said, I don't know what's up with him." He said, "Leave it with me."
Leave it with me.
He said,
the doctor said that.
I'll have he said, I'll phone up a top doctor
Okay.
who was in America or somewhere like that. Yeah. And so he goes to the phone, in his office, and he calls America, and because it's years ago, the phone line isn't that good, it's all crackly and that, right? So he's talking to the doctor, and he's saying, I've got this kid, he's a funny colour, and, you know, he's really weak and that. I don't know what's
He's
up with
not
him.
giving him much to go on.
Right?
Sure.
So the American doctor, right?
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, what you want to do? And it's all breaking up, right?
Yeah.
He goes, what you got to do? You got to, it's all breaking up. You've got to give him some, parrot's blood, right?
Some parrot's blood.
Well, that's what he thought he said, but the line was really bad.
Yeah.
He meant parent's blood, but he heard that he said parrot's blood. He said, right, I'll do that, leave it with me.
I can see where this is going.
He goes to, you know, a pet shop.
Yeah.
He says, give us like half a dozen parrots.
Sure.
Takes them round to the kid's house, takes the blood from the parrots, puts it into the kid's fine.
The kid's fine.
I've never
It worked.
such a load of shite in my life. I've never heard such twaddle, such just made up, enhanced, exaggerated bollocks in my
A
life.
load of old rubbish, Carl.
I mean, when he told me this, he said, the doctor said, what do I do? And the doctor on the other end said, give him some blood. And the doctor went, where do I get blood from?
So hang on, wait, I just need to
where do I get blood from? From his, give him some parents' blood. Give him some parents' blood. Give him some parents' blood. Yeah.
But hang on, I just need to know where you read this.
Carl.
Where was this? Where did
I
you read
stitched
this?
you up. You know what he said? He said, so do you believe that? I went, tell it to Steve. He went, do you believe it? I went, tell it to Steve. Carl.
where did you read it?
That was on the internet.
What?
About
Where is it on the
illnesses.
internet?
I'm always looking at stuff. I was looking at stuff this morning because of Yoragella last night. eating all that funny food and that, and also they all got a bit scared last night, didn't they, with a snake?
I didn't see that. So is this I'm a Celebrity Get Me Out of Here?
Yeah, he got all worried about a snake getting on the sort of wandering about in between the sleeping bags and stuff.
Yeah.
And they were all scared, and it is so
Leave
easy.
it with me. Sorry, the doctor says, leave it with me. Yeah. Leave it with me.
Well, they were all scared because there's a snake, and it's so easy to find stuff out. Before they, where are they? Where is this jungle?
Australia, I
Right.
think.
Before they went, give it half an hour on the internet. I found out with snakes, you don't need to worry, right? They're deaf, they haven't got any ears.
Right.
So as long as you're really quiet,
Creep around,
they'll
yeah.
probably leave you alone.
Yep.
And also, they don't have eyelids. So they were suggesting if one's coming towards you, just like kick sand in its eyes. Because it can't blink, and it leaves it a bit like annoyed, and it wanders off. But they didn't do any research before they went.
Yeah.
And that's
I think your knowledge would hold you in good stead. I don't think you need to know any more than you know. Well, we're going to come back to that because he also explained to me where a saying comes from that I want you to be part of. But
Oh, and also, you should mention as well, Carl, you've come up with a competition, is this right?
brilliant competition.
Have you dreamt this up?
he thinks this can go to television.
Is this an idea you've come up with?
Yeah.
Carl, I'm so looking forward to
So
it.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Continuing our exposure of myths and legends of Rockfall Tale, we expose that myth that some maybe older rockers have had it and they've gotten they were never any good, and the
Yeah.
kids today.
Oh, I don't wanna
we
hear
want
that.
people like Rod Stewart.
Rod Stewart's a great artist.
Let's
He's a slightly laughable man, but a great artist.
let's go back to when he was rocking.
When he cut the mustard.
Yeah. Rod Stewart, You Wear It Well.
Great tune.
On XFM 104.9. Yeah, this doctor, I mean, we should find out who he is, really, and if he's still practising, because it worries me a little bit that, he did that. Also, I mean, he thinks he's got away with it, but how could he be sure those parrots wouldn't talk?
True.
Do you know what I mean? There were six of them, they probably got together and they probably put it on the internet.
I mean, I feel that story, Carl, it asks more questions than it answers.
Yeah,
Really.
like most of your stories.
Yeah, that's the
to be
problem. I
honest.
always feel like I need a little bit more information. Like, did the parrot boy continue to live?
Yeah.
You know, to a ripe old age, or did he die weeks later after this charlatan doctor who was going around, you know, spewing things?
Did he break his nose trying to crack a big nut?
No, I think he was alright. He lived to a...
See, I'd have shouted, if I was that doctor, I'd have shouted that down the phone. Are you sure you said parrot's blood?
Yeah.
You sure it was parrot's blood?
Listen, I mean, you know, I'm not the best doctor in the world, but did you say parrot's blood?
Yeah, but what you're forgetting is you're going back to the time where, like, they used leeches to do, like...
No, we're not. We're going back to the late 70s if there's a phone call to America Direct.
Come on, Carl. They weren't calling America, like, in the medieval times or in the Victorian age. Come on, think about it, Carl.
Yeah.
You know, this has got to be like the 30s or 40s, the earliest. You know?
Right.
I'm intrigued to know where this. I think there's someone on the web who's just putting information on there to lead you astray.
Yeah.
Because you're the only person who finds this stuff. Other people are using this to write theses.
What were you looking up that then? What were you looking?
I always look at weird stuff.
What were you looking for?
But what do you type in the search engine to find parrot blood stories?
What were you looking for?
There was this woman with a weird head.
Why were you looking at that? What were you?
Just because I'd heard about it. I'd heard, like, someone talking about it on another station.
Right.
About this woman with a funny head.
Right. I love the fact you're intrigued with these things. You go in the basement of Waterstones or Dillon's or somewhere, and there's these medical books that you'll love them, mate.
Yeah, well, this is free on the internet, isn't it? It's all there.
Yeah. So what do you typed in? Weird head woman or?
Lady with head.
Yeah.
Weird people or something I put in.
Sure.
Yeah. Did you come up?
7,000 hits, Karl Pilkington.
Foo Fighters. All My Life on XFM 104.9. I'm Ricky Gervais with me, Steve Merchant, and Karl Pilkington.
Indeed.
Genius Karl Pilkington, as Heat magazine said.
Really? Is that what he's referred to now?
Yeah,
huh?
Yeah. Genius. Saying about people tune in just to hear his games, such as Educating Ricky. Have you got some Educating Ricky for me?
Got some education.
I need some education, Karl. I desperately need some education. I want to learn about Chinese kids that are born hairier than average. I want to hear about deaf girls that can hear after their mum hits their head against a wall. These are the things I need to know.
I mean, I don't wish to be disrespectful. He doesn't look like a genius.
He doesn't look like a genius.
But then I don't know what a genius looks like.
Exactly.
So,
Steve.
you know, I don't want to be unfair.
Look at Einstein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His mum thought he was mental as a child.
Where'd you get that information from?
That was in the Einstein book.
But it was in the Einstein book, then it's presumably true.
Which Einstein book is that? His Theory of Relativity?
The big book of Einstein stuff.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the big bumper book of Einstein stuff. It's for a coach trip, and you have to fill in, E equals MC1 squared, 2 fish, or 3 hello, and then it's multiple choice, and you fill it. It's great.
Did his mum think, A, he was a genius, B, mental?
Most people go for A, but it is in fact B. She thought he was mental at the age of 28. Oh, Karl, you never let me down. You never let me down. So have you got Educating Ricky for me?
You've got Educating Ricky coming up.
You too, Electrical Storm. Steve, am I mental, or have we been playing some great tunes
We've
today?
been playing some great tunes. You're not mental. You're a genius.
Yeah, on XFM 104.9, Ricky Gervais with me, Steve Merchant, and Karl Pilkington. Karl Pilkington in the chair now. The talked about, the acclaimed Educating Ricky.
Right, well, just in case anyone's new, doesn't normally listen.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm Educating Ricky.
Yeah.
Do a bit of research in a week, find stuff, news, history, anything that's interesting. 3 stories, I give them a nice little headline. You take your pick.
Yeah.
Between now and 3, you're going to learn 3 things. Yeah?
Yeah.
So, the headlines are, I'll be no buying one of them.
Give us that again.
I'll be no buying one of them.
Nice, okay.
Yeah. We've also got, Hippopotamus News.
Okay. Okay.
And, Chicken You Believe It.
Chicken, you believe it.
Well, I'm going to go for Hippopotamus News.
Hippopotamus News?
Hippopotamus News.
Right, well this one, it's, I'm not going to take the credit here. I heard Christian talking about this on breakfast, right, because it's a good story that happened. Basically, I don't know if I told you about it last week when we were having our spaghetti, but,
I think you did.
Right,
I know what it is. I know what this is.
Okay, I've not heard this.
Right, there's a little midget. Right, there's a circus.
I'm loving it already.
Circus going on somewhere. I think it was in America. And,
is that present day or old times?
I'm talking like in the last 3 weeks.
Okay.
Right? Little midget, circus, really packed out show. People are loving it.
Steve, you'll ask the same question I did, I know.
So there's a little midget jumping up and down on a trampoline.
What circus is this?
Right.
I'd pay good money to see it.
So everyone's clapping, and he's getting carried away.
Because he can't believe they're loving it. I didn't know they'd like a little person on a trampoline, but they love me.
But you know what it's like when, if there's a crowd of people sort of encouraging you to sort of go higher and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he knew it was getting out of hand. But he was jumping and he was coming down, they're all going higher, and he's going really high in the air, right? So he's doing this, crowd are clapping. There's a hippo, right, just sat next to the trampoline, getting ready to come on and do his act.
Oh, right, I thought he was in the audience.
There's a hippo getting ready to do his act, Steve.
Yeah. So
he's a ventriloquist.
What do you mean he's sitting by the trampoline waiting to do his act?
Because
why does he sit in the dressing room and they go, 5 minutes, Mr. Mus, 5 minutes, Mr. Mus.
So anyway, right, so the hippo's there,
he's getting annoyed, is he, because the midget's
he's
eating
going,
into
how
his
can I
tongue.
follow this? How can I, this is really annoying, they're gonna be, no.
So,
he's thinking, he's already done the trampoline, my pogo stick act is never gonna work.
Yeah, go on, so there's a hippo waiting. See, it's a great story, and I just know he embellishes it, or he gets slightly wrong. Go on.
So
there's a midget jumping up and down, the hippo's getting annoyed.
The crowd are going mad, the midget's loving it, can't believe his luck. Although you think, he probably knows he's dicing with danger.
Yeah. So, next thing you know, they're all saying higher. He gives it one big, like, heavy sort of landing on the trampoline, goes really high, but goes off at a funny angle.
Oh.
Hypotenuse.
Okay.
Yeah. And sort of flies off.
Hypotenuse!
Sure.
Flies off at a funny angle.
Ooh, dear.
Hippo's there, swallows him whole. Crowd are clapping, thinking that's why the hippo was waiting there.
Rubbish. Rubbish.
It's not rubbish though.
But no, maybe there was an accident in a circus with a midget and a hippo, but at no point was this hippo waiting to go on, going, come on. The midget flew off at a hypotenuse and landed in the hippo's mouth and was swallowed whole. This is what you embellish it. That is great. And what's
I have to say though, Rick, when I heard midget, trampoline, hippopotamus, I was thinking accident waiting to happen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean,
it is that you should never put those three together.
Never.
It's a recipe for disaster. Everyone knows that. Midget, trampoline, hippopotamus. Are you mental?
You're asking for trouble.
Well,
you know when he told me it, he said, and the midget, he didn't mention the hippopotamus, and he said the midget went on, and soon he fell off, and the hippo ate him. And I said, sorry, what was the hippo doing there? He went, it's a circus.
I've never heard of a circus having a hippo.
What do hippos do?
What can they do? You can't train them, can you?
What do you
Aren't they, like, very deadly? They're huge, aren't they?
You can't have a hippo in a circus.
Are you sure?
You're not thinking of Zippo?
He's neither clown.
Yeah. No, and it wasn't some sort of where Zippo was eating a midget, and it's some sort of horrible sexual act.
No, it was definitely. I heard it on breakfast, right?
Oh, okay, sorry.
No, it's definitely fact.
Yeah, okay, right, okay, good. Well, let's play a record then.
So,
I'd like to play a classic Springsteen. We're all fans of Springsteen there. This might be his debut album, I'm not sure. Greetings, Raspberry Park.
I think it is, yeah.
New Jersey. And this is Growing Up. It's great, it's classic. Educating Ricky, part 2. Right, what's the clues left?
Well, we've got left the headlines. I'll be new buying one of them.
Yeah.
And we've also got Chicken You Believe It. Chicken You Believe It. So they're the two that are left. Which one's you going for?
Chicken You Believe It is not that picture, is it? That we saw.
Which picture?
The bloke with the...
No.
Right, okay.
God, that was bad.
Right, okay,
so...
I just better explain
we
that.
can't really discuss this on air, can we?
Well, we can. Steve brought in, Carl, the best book ever, which is, what is it?
I found it when I was moving house. It's an FHM publication, and it's kind of like lots of grotesque pictures and stories, and like a book of freaks and weirdos and
Carl opened it, and the first one was like...
At the back.
At the back.
Well, you couldn't believe your luck, could you?
What was it? What was number 50?
A bloke with two heads.
And he said, what's number 1? 1.
Yeah.
And then number 6, there's a bloke who's a squid or something.
Octopus.
Yeah. yeah. He's loving it. And number 1, he said, well, it's just a fella under a rock. And I went, oh no, read on, I think I know about this. And it's the fella that was found, he caused a landslide while having sex with a chicken. And they pulled him up, and there he is, the chicken owner.
Right,
so Carl could not believe his luck. So it's not that.
Can you believe it?
I'll have that one.
You're
then.
going for that one?
Yeah.
Right, well, we've talked a lot on the show about,
We've talked a lot on the show.
Yeah. About animals without heads.
We haven't! We haven't! We talked about cockroaches could live without a head for 7 days.
Yeah, we've talked about that, and then of course there was the well-known one about the fella who had his head cut off, and he
blinked.
He said to his mate, "Count how many times I blink when my head comes off."
Yeah, when you told it to me, you said his head came off, and he said, as his head was in the basket, he said, "Quick, count how many times I blink." And it was Nick Frost that had to go, "No, Carl, no, he said it before." I went, and that was lovely. So yeah, we've talked quite a lot about things heads coming off. Go on then.
Well, this one, right? Back in 1945.
You looked it up the date.
It's got a specific date. Wow.
Mate Jonathan sent this one. You know him as well, the lad at the BBC, right? He emailed this one in. So thanks for that. Chicken. It's called Mike.
There's a chicken called. Sorry, I missed a bit there. There's a chicken called Mike.
Chicken called Mike.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
What happened was, it was living on a farm, right? Loads of chickens knocking about, and the owner of the farm is like, getting ready for tea, and his wife says, "Go out and get a fresh chicken, because my mum's coming round." So he thinks, well, I want to get a good one in, because I want to impress her. Cause back then, even then, they wanted to impress the mother-in-law and that. So they said, "Right, I'll just nip out and get one." So he sees Mike, chicken, running around.
Is this during the war or after the war?
1945. I'd say that was after.
No, it ended in
1945.
Yeah, okay. September, go on.
So, chicken's running about, he thinks that one that looks alright, I'll have that one. So he picks it up, and he cuts his head off. Puts it on the block, cuts his head off, runs about a bit, like they do. He thinks it'll stop in a minute, keeps running about. What's going on here? Right? He's now like chasing the chicken without an head.
Yeah.
He's saying he should die in a minute. Anyway, doesn't die. Chicken's walking around with no head. Lives for 18 months.
Yeah.
Chicken with no head.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Well, I'll tell you, I've heard this story before, Rick, and the explanation, as I understand it, was that certain vital cords, spinal cords, weren't severed when the head came off. So that was why it continued to live.
Yep.
I don't know if that sounds plausible.
It's fine. Absolutely fine. How did it take on protein and energy?
The fella who owned it, he said, well, hang on a minute, he said, I could kill it now.
But I've got a wonder chicken here.
But he's thinking, it must really want to live.
Sure.
Right? If it survives that, I've got something here.
Yeah.
So what he does, he gets a little eye droplet thing that he used to use on it. Obviously not anymore, right? And he filled it with grain and water, and it had a big hole in its neck where its head used to be. And he
incredibly.
And he dropped. You know what? There's. I mean, that is possible then. If it, without infection, without infection, if he was taking on things, it is possible, right? Why?
Why what?
Why did he do it? How cruel is that? I mean, that was not cruel because the chicken obviously, He said if he thought it was a bit fed up, he would have killed it. He said, but it was running around quite happy. Well, it wasn't fed up at all because it had no brain.
Well,
what do you mean? Wow.
I'm just saying what...
It was nothing, it was just sinew and nerves and electrical impulses breaking down energies, right? That's all it was. It didn't have a brain. So it was... But I'm worried about the psychology of keeping a pet without a head. I'm worried more about what the farmer was thinking than the chicken.
I tell you this, the question I'm asking is, was the mother-in-law impressed? I mean, that's why he set out. That's why he set out to shot Mike's head off. This
is lovely, but it's just the head where you don't kill a chicken like that all at once.
I thought we were having chicken for dinner. Come and look at this, running around the yard.
Yeah. Oh dear.
So there you go. You've learned something there.
Yeah, I have learned something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. One more.
That farmer, I've learned that farmer was very strange indeed.
There you go.
I have to say, to be fair to Carl, I have a feeling like when I read it, the reason he kept it alive was as a novelty. He got charged people to come and see the incredible headless chicken called Mike.
Right.
So, here we are.
That's great.
So, tune, Steve?
A tune, yeah. I just thought I'd like to hear a little bit more from that NERD album. We played some of this from there when it first came out many moons ago. Since then, it's gone on. It's won awards, all sorts. And obviously, NERD now, Nerd, as they're sometimes known, kind of big producers. They're producing Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears, all kinds of people. But this is a track from their album.
I've heard they're wicked.
They are indeed. And this is called Things Are Getting Better.
Educating Ricky,
Right,
number 3.
Final one. You've had hippopotamus. You had chicken. You believe it? And the last one is I'll be no buying one of them.
I love that one.
All right. Interesting one. This. I mean, I spent probably 3 days looking for this stuff. Right, and another one that I came across, right, and I was going to use. I was a bit like,
great life you've got.
I was just, going on the internet and that, and I also look in magazines. Found a story about a bloke who, I don't know, he was messing about with a chainsaw. And
I don't know, he's messing about with a chainsaw. He was juggling a midget, and whilst taking his alligator for a walk, and go on.
And his arm come off, right?
Come off? What do you mean his arm come off?
The chainsaw took it off.
Yeah,
so
okay.
It's like,
again,
He's going, oh no.
Oh.
So there's a picture of him on an exercise bike, sort of just with a little stump sort of balancing, but he's getting on with his life, he's happy and everything, everything's fine, he's not complaining, it's his own fault, he's got no one to blame, right? So anyway, he goes to the doctors, and the doctor said, I can do something there. So he goes, well, it's alright, I'm getting by alright, don't worry about it. And he goes, no, we've got an arm in, right? We can attach that, a real arm, from someone who's, I think they'd passed away or lost an arm or something, and
they lost an arm and didn't want it back.
Yeah, I love it. Are you using that? No, because I know someone.
Because I know a bloke, actually.
Yeah. Well, can't you just put this one back on? Well, it's first come, first serve, really.
I was just building a bionic man. We've replaced one arm with a robot's arm, so we got a spare one.
So the doctor's going, let me put it on. He's like, well, alright then. So
Ungrateful bastard.
So he does the operation. Everything's fine. He's loving it. He's happy again because he said he can brush his teeth.
Right. Okay. If this is going to be
He's
something
loving
like
it again because now he can brush his teeth.
right, if this is going to be, and it was a leg. Or
No.
it was a chimp's arm,
or it was the arm of a killer.
It was 2 left arms, right? I'm going to kill you.
Oh, let's leave it then.
What is it? What's the answer?
No, it's not that. I'm just.
What is? Okay,
right. So he says, go on and do it. So he sews it on, and like I said, he's happy. He's brushing his teeth. He can have a pint in the pub. He's lifting a pint with it. All his mates are happy for him. It goes on for about 2 years. Everything's fine. Then it all starts going flaky.
Oh, I knew it would.
Was it made of chocolate?
Alright, so it all goes all like gammy, and then for some
The arm
reason
starts going gammy.
it goes gammy, and it gets longer.
Of course it does.
So there's a picture of him, right, stood in the magazine. He's stood there with his arms by his side. One arm's normal, the other one is like past his knees. He can pull his socks up without bending over.
So
It's
is this going to be they gave him the arm of an 8-year-old child who would have been the tallest man in the world?
No, he just said, oh, what am I going to do? And the doctor said, oh, there's not much we can do. And left it.
Wait a minute, you can't leave it there.
That's not a story.
So, Carl,
That's not
you've
a
got to
story.
tell us the explanation. Was it an incredible plastic arm? An incredible expanding arm? Did he fight crime later?
No.
Well, that's the end of the story. You've got no scientific explanation as to why...
That's why I didn't pick it.
But you just told it to us anyway!
Yeah, but I'm just saying the sort of knowledge I come over when I'm looking for the good knowledge. Yeah?
So that
Why does his arm grow? Why did this arm grow? He must have had an adult arm. They couldn't have given him an arm.
I don't know. It's just one of them.
It's rubbish again, isn't it?
Well, I thought it's an interesting story, but you
It's
should have
not, and it's rubbish.
you
It
should
didn't
have read to
happen.
the end. There was photos.
Yeah.
But you should have read to the end of the article, Carl.
No, I did. And he said, he's not happy and he wishes he wouldn't have had it done and all that, and,
Sure this wasn't a tale of the unexpected?
No, seriously, he was saying, his teeth are nice and clean again because he could brush them and that, but his arm's getting in the way. Ruining his shirts and everything. So I'll leave that.
Let's play a tune. Let's come back with the next one, because I love the fact that this is like Ronnie Corbett telling one of his jokes. That's ironic. That wasn't even the story he was going to tell us.
Play a record. Suede's new one, Obsessions, on XFM 104.9. Well, I'm Ricky Gervais, obviously, Steve Merchant, Karl Pilkington. Well, Karl, that's about it, and we got sidetracked on the last Educating Ricky. You telling me about a man whose arm grew.
Well, something went wrong. I'm not saying it grew, just saying...
What? The rest of him shrunk?
It went long.
It went long. What, is that growing? What do you mean it went long? Did it grow, or what, did it come loose?
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, so it's hanging by a thread which made it look long? Within the skin?
It's like how you can stretch a pair of tights if something is too heavy.
Arms are very much like tights. They are very much
the
like tights.
The one that we didn't get round to on Educating Ricky was, I'll be no buying one of them.
Go on.
Are you familiar with the saying white elephant?
Something is a white elephant. I don't think so.
Hold on. You phoned me last night and said, what does white elephant mean? And I told you.
Yeah, I know, but I know where it came from, but I just was wondering what it was about.
So how, in what way is Educating Ricky you calling me up and asking me something?
Well, do you know how it came about?
You've given away some of the secrets of the show there, it would appear. I didn't realise he was phoning you for information.
Well, he just asked me what the term white elephant meant in sort of like colloquial.
Did he say, why are you interested, Karl? No reason.
No, go on.
Well, what it is, ages ago when...
So what do we understand white elephant to mean?
Well, some of that's useless, that's like a bit of a, something that you wouldn't want around that's just stood there doing nothing.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Karl.
So years ago, when people used to use elephants...
Years ago, go on.
When people used to use elephants?
Yeah, more than they do now.
Right.
More than they do now!
This doesn't involve a midget, does it?
No. So, you know, they'd use them in the workplace and stuff.
Sure, as factories. Yeah.
To move stuff around and that.
Yeah, security guards.
Yeah. Can't trust them with the buns, though. That's why they stopped using them.
Oh, right. God, go on.
So there was loads of elephants knocking about, and the thing is, right,
you couldn't move from.
If you have a lot of something, you also have a lot of demic ones, don't you?
A lot of what?
You know, sort of demicky ones that aren't right, really.
Demicky?
Well, you know, like, they weren't properly. They weren't
properly.
They weren't demicky or
Karl,
properly.
what are you doing?
Right, I'm getting to the story. So what I'm telling you is...
They were a bit demicky, so they weren't properly.
Have you started making words up?
Right. Yeah, you Stanley Unwin.
Listen.
Reincarnated.
Demicky?
Well, yeah.
There was a lot of albino elephants knocking about.
Okay. Where is this?
Olden times. Africa.
Yes! Should we say Africa?
Yeah. If an answer's got a question mark at the end, I'm not sure.
It's either Africa or India, but I'll give you a clue. Well, these elephants, do they have big ears or little ears?
I didn't sort of notice the size of the elephants. What I noticed is they were white because they were albino elephants.
Okay.
Right? So... that's why they're heading, I'll be no buying one of them.
Okay.
Right? So, what would happen is, people who didn't know what they were doing, like, you know, you get people making a mistake buying cars that are full of problems and that. Back then, when people were buying elephants, they'd go up to someone, say, I'm after an elephant, and the fellow would say, yeah, I've got one here for you, this is a nice one. And it was all white and stuff, and it had, like, blue eyes.
You should never trust a used elephant salesman.
This elephant that's white with blue eyes.
Right. So,
this is great.
So a fellow who didn't know what he was doing would buy the elephant, and he'd get it back, and it'd be all sort of lazy and stuff, and what we're doing and stuff. And he'd say, what's up with this? And his mate, who's a bit of an expert with elephants, and go, oh, where have you bought that from? And he'd say, oh, I got it off that fella, and he goes, oh...
all this embellishing nonsense he does with the story.
You shouldn't have bought that. So he goes, why? And he said, it's only albino, isn't it? And he's like, what does that mean? And he said, oh, it gets tired. It's not that good at doing work and that, you shouldn't have bought it.
It steals from you.
But elephants back then were like a god. You know what I mean?
Right.
You couldn't say, oh, I'm sick of this and I'm going to abandon it or anything, because elephants were seen as, like, pretty high up on the chain of things. So they'd end up being stuck with an elephant, that's an albino, couldn't do much, gets tired, basically gets in the way, so they said, that's where they're saying, like, you know, but a bit of a white elephant there.
What do you reckon, Rick?
I feel like I haven't been educated. I feel like I've lost something. So at that time in my life I can never get back. I feel like I've sort of been soiled, and I don't know where to start. I'm angry. Do you know what I mean? I'm angry.
Sure, yeah, I can see that.
And all that rubbish around. Look at his little face.
Well,
What was that? All that shit about a second-hand elephant salesman and his mate knew about elephants. What is it? What are they? They had blue eyes. What are you?
well,
Albinos have red eyes for a start.
oh, that's it. We've run out of time.
Oh, what? I mean, what are you going to do about this next week? Are you going to actually do some educating next week? And what about Rockbusters? Are you going to make the clues proper cryptic clues?
Well, that's the teaser, isn't it? That's what we'll leave them with.
Will it be any good next week? Tune in and find out on XFM 104.9. I remember when my mum died, and I had to go along, and I was talking about what wreath they wanted, and that this person, quite rightly, had to turn off their sense of humour in a way, because I suppose they mustn't offend anyone, so I had to. They spoke like that at all times. At all times. Okay, and what would you like the wreath to say? She was a mother and a grandmother. I went, yeah, mother, grandmother, and what was her name? I said, her name was Eva. I said, and I made a joke. I said, do we get a discount because her name's short? And she went, well, actually, didn't laugh, didn't get that at all. Just went, just answer the question. She went, well, actually, you pay by the letter. I thought, okay, that fell flat. I'll go again. I went, well, a friend used to call her E.
Yeah.
I went, I'm joking. She went, okay. Nothing.
Yeah.
Bad audience. Bad time, bad audience. Tough crowd.
Yeah, Undertaker's never known for their...
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
their
They
laughter.
don't crack jokes, Carl. A friend of mine, was, trained to be a doctor, and, in his first year, when they practiced, they intern at the hospital, he was watching this patient, and, two other doctors came in, and I won't say his name. They said, can you go and check on Mr. So-and-so? He went, yeah, and change his drip. So he went in, changed his drip, came back out. The doctors came, after about 10 minutes, they came running and said, what did you do? What did you do? And, they went in there and said, I just changed the drip. He goes, well, he's dead. He's dead. And he was going, well, I just changed the drip. I did this and that. And they started laughing. He goes, no, he was dead when we sent you in there.
Yeah. Now, that is almost excusable because it's imperative if you're a doctor
Absolutely.
to become accustomed to the fact that people die and that it's,
Exactly.
you know,
Yeah. So they were making a joke about a dead body that means nothing to them other than professionally.
Yeah.
You know, they were getting through it. He thought he'd just murdered someone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he thought he just killed someone. But yeah, they have to be desensitized. But they wouldn't do that in front of the relatives. They wouldn't go, I had a laugh earlier with a young intern, when your dad died, we sent him in to change the drip, didn't even check. It was quite good. Anyway, let's get him out of here.
No, but they do have a laugh. I heard about a doctor who was working on a brain, right? And apparently when they work on the brain, it's best just to keep you awake. Because, you know, just so you can go, that hurts a bit, and they go, oh, we best not touch that bit again.
That's the reason. Rick.
Amazing.
That's the reason.
No, there is
amazing.
there's certain operations, isn't there, where they go, you know, we can knock you out for that, but for this one we want to know.
It's probably because the brain needs to be
Activity.
active in order to...
Yeah, they show activity,
But
yeah,
sure,
they-
yeah, no,
so
it's
anyway-
actually so you can wake up and go, yeah, no, that hurt. That stings. Oh, that stings. Don't pop that in there.
You can't feel anything in the brain anyway. No nerve endings.
Really?
You
What?
can't feel it, can you?
Well, maybe there's another reason, but anyway, his head's open. He's sat on this chair. The doctor's going...
I reckon he was laying down.
I thought he was laying down, but in your world he's not. He's sat on a hard-backed
I think it's more
dining
like
chair.
in front of a mirror, like a hairdresser type thing, right? And he's cut the skin off.
So can you get a bit shorter there?
So he's
Something for the weekend, sir?
He's-
Oh, I won't be shagging with no brain.
anyway, so he's cut the skin off and, you know, chopped a bit. And you're always going to get bits, aren't you? Sort of. Whenever you cut anything, you end up with a bit missing. But anyway, somehow he does the brain stuff. He fixes it. I don't know what he was doing. But if
Don't you?
if
You
it-
don't know about. You don't know
You
about
don't know
that.
the intricacies of brain surgery? That I find perplexing.
So you're not a neurosurgeon? I don't want. Oh, okay.
So
go
they
on.
sorted out the problem, right? And he goes, right, all we've got to do now is stick the head bit back on.
Yeah.
That's what it's called, by the way. The head
Oh, this
bit.
happened. This happened.
Yeah, the head bit's connected to the face bit.
So he sticks.
Nurse, head bit. Doctor, do you need leg bit? Not yet, nurse. Head bit, then leg bit.
So they stuck the head bit back on, and then
Can you pass me the Sharpie thing?
he was trying to sew it, and he was going, "This isn't fitting. This." He's going, "I don't know." And you know, like because the
Right, if this turns out that it's
Someone else's head.
or
No.
a toupee from the doctor next to him,
Yeah.
or a cat. Wow!
No, it's-
You've sewn a cat to my brain!
it's none of that. He's trying to sew it, and he's thinking, "Why isn't it fitting?" And he's thinking, "Is it because the head's swollen?" Because you know he's been messing about in it, and things
Yeah.
swell, don't they? And messed about
Yeah.
with. So he's messing with it. He's going, I don't understand this, and he's panicking a bit because the patient's awake and chatting and stuff, and you know, it's difficult to have a normal chat when you're panicking a
I
little
know,
bit.
there's a queue as well. People want their brain done. And they're just reading old copies of magazines. They're going, hurry up.
So
I'm going out tonight. Do you want to wash it? No, just, I'll wash it later. Just take it off, do the brain, put it back on.
anyway, what happens is he has to start rummaging,
To start rummaging.
sort of rummaging.
No! There's no N before the first G. Rummaging.
Well, he starts looking through the. He starts having a look through the bin. Because,
What?
Because he knows he's chucked a bit away of the skin.
Right. Where is this surgery where a bloke's sitting up in front of a mirror and there's a bin? Is there a little basketball ring above the bin as well? So when he throws things, it goes through there first?
I'm just saying that's what happened, and you were saying about things that happen, and you've got a joke about
So
it.
he's rummaging, and what happens?
He said to him, he said the fellow was starting to sense the nervousness, and he said, "What's going on here?" And he says, "Oh, I'm never going to believe it. I've lost a bit of your skin.
Lost a bit
And,
of your head, yeah.
I can't
Why did he
sew."
cut? I don't understand. Why is there... Why
That's
is it in
what I
two
mean.
bits?
Because things just break up, don't they? It's like chicken. When you see him walking around, everything's in place and it sticks together. You cook it, suddenly it all breaks up.
He cooked his face before he cut it out.
I'm just saying how flesh, it sticks together well
Yeah, but
when...
he'd cooked the scalp before he'd taken it off his
No,
head.
but
had
it's
he?
just an example of how
Oh,
skin
okay.
can break up with the muscles and everything.
So he's rummaging in the bin, and does he find the head?
He found the bit, and then he's like, "Oh, sorry about that," and he sort of managed to stick it on.
Right, he
and
didn't
stuff.
wash it off or anything.
Yeah, I'm sure he gives it a bit of a rinse. But I'm just saying how, you know,
Nonsense.
you've got to make a joke out of stuff, haven't you?
Yeah, it's bollocks.
If you're a doctor.
Okay, that's good.
So where was the joke in that story? Well, at what point I thought this was a story about how doctors have a sense of humour.
Yeah,
when
well,
did he
at
make a
the
joke?
end, he sort of laughed and he sort of said, "Oh, there you go, it's back on." But good job, the bin men didn't come or whatever, and they made a joke out of it.
I've never heard such nonsense. I've never
Carl just
heard
made that
such
joke up.
nonsense. Smith's Cemetery Gates. Great, wasn't it?
Always cracking.
Off Queen is Dead. Voted best album of all time, I think, in the NME poll. I don't think it is their best
Strangers
album.
Here We Come.
I agree.
By far the best.
I agree.
Yeah. Cracking.
Anyway, Carl, yeah, so people are arguing on the flight. How did you enjoy Edinburgh, by the way, anyway? Because I saw you up there briefly with you and Nick Frost, your new mates, Nick Frost and Simon Pegg. You know, he prefers them to us now.
I know, apparently, I could tell that from just talking to him
It was the way he was sort of looking at them, everything. He was just smiling at Nick Frost. It's his new best chum. You love Nick Frost, don't
Would
you?
you have preferred it, right, if I went to Edinburgh and had to sit with some people that I really didn't like? Would you have been happier for me?
No, do you know? But
Right, so I had a great time with
yeah.
Simon and Nick, and they're nice people.
But he kept going to, oi, Nick, tell Ricky that story. And Nick and Simon, well, all it was, right? And their ghost stories. He loves them because they believe in ghosts.
Oh.
It's not just
they're
that.
great
Oh,
blokes with a great sense of humour, just because they believe in ghosts. You go and tell them that. He goes, how do you explain that? I was going, well, I wasn't there. What was that one you told me and it was completely wrong? About the...
It was, oh yeah, right, it's years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Some
In olden days,
Oh, sure.
when
Some,
ghosts
like,
roamed the earth.
Once upon a time, you mean?
Yeah.
some doctor or something who was into like the way bodies work. They got their head cut off.
Who did?
And-
The doctor?
Yeah, he was doing a bit of an experiment.
And he cut his own head off.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it was about. He said, "When my head's in the basket, I'm going to blink my eyes."
Right.
Okay, sorry, hang on, let him finish.
And
So the doctor has chopped his own head off, and he's told everyone, I'm going to blink my eyes to
No,
prove
right.
that
he's
there's
in the
life after
basket,
death.
and he goes like, "Right, I'm going to blink my eyes about, as many times as I can, so quick count them." And they count, and he got to like 15 before he
Right.
died.
Now, this is how Carl told me that. Till Nick Frost explained that, Carl told me, he said, right, well, a bloke, right, he had his head cut off, and when his head was in the basket, he went, count how many times I can blink. And I went, well, that's rubbish. He went, no. And Nick went, well, no, he actually said, when my head's in the basket. He went, and Carl went, oh, I said, Carl, do you know the subtle difference? Do you see the subtle difference?
I have to say, though, guys, I still don't really understand what went on there. You've both lost me.
The story is that a bloke who'd been found doing,
You mean that Carl just explained it and that was a clear version? Because I still don't know what you're talking about, Carl.
Well, this bloke had his head cut off at experiments against God. He was a doctor in the, in olden times.
Yeah.
And when they cut his head off...
Why did they cut his head off?
Because it was...
he was executed.
Crimes against... Exactly, he was executed, yeah. And he said to his assistant, when my head's in the basket, I'm going to blink, count how many times I blink and write it down as an experiment, right? Carl told it to me, like, his head was cut off and he went in the basket, and when his head was in the basket, he looked up and said, count how many times I blink. Yeah. I love that. I love the difference in that story.
Yeah.
Both rubbish,
Yeah.
but, one's possible and one isn't.
You believe anything that you're told, except when we tell you the truth.
Right,
Yeah.
here's one.
Christ.
Ghosts and that we got talking about.
Sure.
And Nick said, right, he said, you'll like this one. He said, my auntie was having loads of problems.
Why are you whispering? It's not illegal to talk about ghosts on the radio.
No, but
He's hearing this.
so the auntie's in the house and that, and furniture's moving about all the time.
Oh, God.
And they were like, no, this is...
Steve, he told me this one. This is such rubbish, mate.
No, come on, let's listen.
I'm gonna leave it to you. I'm gonna sit back and enjoy it. I'm just gonna watch your face, Steve.
Right.
Sorry, so I missed the beginning there, Carl. There's an auntie in the house.
Basically, Nick's auntie,
Right.
in the house, things moving around all the time. And it was just annoying every time she tidied up. It was like...
It was just annoying.
Making a mess.
It was one part annoying to two parts scary.
Yeah.
So... stuff was moving around all the time, and they said, right, rather than
we need an housekeeper.
rather than having the house a mess, until we sort this
Stop
out.
it! I've got the vicar coming round. Stop
I
moving stuff
love this.
around.
Oh, yeah, go on.
They said,
That shouldn't be in the pants drawer.
let's put all the furniture in one room, right? So just have one room that's a mess, and have all the others empty.
Because I love the poltergeist can't really... it can move wardrobes around, but it can't open a door to put it in another room.
Yeah.
Poltergeist going, oh, I'm just making this room messy. I wish someone would open the door so I could... Go on.
Yeah, but... So all this stuff's in this room.
So they
right?
moved all their furniture into
Everything,
one
they
room.
put like the drawers in there and everything, and it was really uncomfortable because they were all like on top of each
They
other.
sat in the room with all the stuff.
Yeah, they had to, because that's where the three-piece suite was.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Right?
All right.
Oh, God.
So they sat there, like, all crumpled up and that, but nothing can move because it's so tight.
Yeah.
I think things were trying to move,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
everything
yeah.
was so tight. It's
They
just like,
foxed that poltergeist.
so anyway, one night they sat there, like, sort of a bit awkward watching the telly and that, and you hear some banging
Yeah.
in the next room. So she goes, oh God, what's that?
Oh, he hadn't moved in, had he, the ghost?
So
To some of the empty rooms.
so there's this
He's
bang,
moved some friends and family in.
there's this banging about going on.
No,
so
listen to this,
she
Steve.
gets up, right,
Yeah.
and what it is, they had the baby in the next room because there wasn't much room for the cot.
Right, so they left the baby with the ghost.
So they go into the room where the baby is, and the banging
Yeah.
is like, do you know those plastic balls you get that you can chuck around the room and like they go mental?
Right.
The ones that you chuck once and they
Yeah,
keep bouncing
yeah,
for
yeah,
ages.
yeah.
That was bouncing around the room.
Wow, what, the
hitting
baby had thrown it?
hitting all the walls, and the baby was there, stood in the cot, sort of laughing
Right.
and looking at the ball, and wherever it looked, the ball went.
Yeah.
And then she said, stop doing that,
Yeah.
and the ball just stopped.
Did it?
And it rolled a bit and stopped.
Right. So the baby had thrown the ball and it was watching it as it bounced around the room.
It wasn't throwing it, it was in control of it.
No, the point is, Steve, the baby has been doing... It would have been the baby all along.
The baby had been messing with the furniture. It was
So
a
it's
baby
a
that had
super
the power. Yeah, it's a baby that had the power.
Special baby.
It's a baby that had the power. It's
What
a baby that had the power.
What-
the
what's
power
the power?
of telekinesis.
Right.
They were then trying to convince me that telekinesis was not like all the other stuff that I didn't believe in, but that was a science.
Right.
Telekinesis was possible.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not like ghosts and demons and all that stuff. Telekinesis is different.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
science.
But Nick's auntie saw it, and
I love the fact that you're telling me that someone else's auntie saw it. So I should be satisfied with that.
Yeah.
I should be satisfied with that. I mean,
no.
So does she still live in one room with all her possessions?
No, I think
The baby grew out of it, apparently.
it grew
The
up.
baby grew out of it.
So it doesn't use its telekinesis powers anymore?
Well, no, it's like in Carrie, innit? She was upset for a bit and then she got over it.
Okay, I'm just gonna say one thing, Carl. That was a film. Do you want to play a record or? Get free. Alright, on XFM 104.9. Can I just tell you a story that Carl told me a couple of weeks ago?
Is this another ghost story? Another spooky story?
Yeah. I called him out. I was, what are you doing? He said, I've just been reading ghost stories again. He said, you don't believe in them, but how do you explain this? Right, I went, go on. He said, I'll tell you as he told me it. He went, bloke, right, just sitting at home, doing, watching telly with his cat. And, the phone rings, and it's a bloke going, is that fire, in your oven okay now? 'Cause your wife called. And Carl went, well, 1, there was no fire in the oven. 2, he wasn't married. I went, right. Go on. He went, well, then right, there was a knock at the door and there was 2 sort of people in sort of white coats and they came and said, we've come about that fire. Your wife called us. He went, 1, there isn't a fire in my oven, and 2, I'm not even married. Right? And he said, and they saw the cat and they looked at the cat. It looks a bit weird at the cat came out, nothing. He said, and then he went back, sat down, phone rings, and they said, did they sort out the fire in the oven that your wife told us about?
Oh.
He went, 1, there is no fire in my oven, 2, I haven't got a wife. And Carl went, what do you think of that? I went, that's not it. He went, yeah. I went,
that's the end of the story.
What? He went, well, how'd you explain that? I went, explain what? I thought he was going to say, a year later he got married, but she died in an oven fire. Right? I thought it was going to be that. And I went,
that's people winding him up.
Yeah, or someone did report a fire oven, and their name was Johnson, and they looked up Johnson, they got the wrong thing as the gas board, and they sent it round to the wrong person, right? You know, he went, yeah. I said, I explained it to him, he went, yeah. Why did they look at the cat funny?
Oh, man alive, Carl. This is really weird, right? I was in my house once, right, and the doorbell rang.
Yeah.
Right, I opened the door, there was no one there.
Yeah.
Right? And then I looked across the street, right, and there were some kids running away.
Yeah.
Now, how do you explain that?
Yeah.
There was another time, right, where, like, I opened the door and there was a bloke goes, you've ordered pizza. I went, I haven't ordered pizza. And I heard my mate upstairs giggling and putting the phone down.
Yeah. How do you explain that? Carl, seriously, why did you tell me that story? What did you think that was weird about that?
The fact that it was 3 different people.
Is this all the information? Is that the entire story?
It was 3 different people.
Did you fall asleep and not read the end?
A fire that didn't happen, about a wife that didn't exist, and a cat that didn't look happy.
Oh, I'm gonna have a heart attack, Carl. What? I mean, why did they look at the cat funny?
Because cats don't like spirits, do they?
What? And the other blokes were ghosts?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
So these are kind of beetle about type ghosts. These are ghosts who walk the earth as the undead, just winding people up slightly.
That's lovely. That is lovely.
Seriously,
and a cat that did not look happy.
But seriously, why would ghosts wander around just like winding people up?
Oh,
maybe something did happen there years ago. Some fire. Some woman might have died in the house of a fire or something.
Yeah.
And it sort of all happened again.
Yeah, it's certainly a mystery.
If you don't
it's a mystery. I mean, I can't.
What's this book you were reading? You were reading a book, which is interesting enough.
It was the For Tea and Times.
Oh, Carl.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what to say.
Well, I'll tell you this, Carl. There is a track that will spook you right out. This is Warren Zevon from was it like about 1979, early 80s?
Oh, great track.
Werewolves of London. Play this, Carl, but don't be scared.